You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest, the Coordinating Council of Private Educational Associations of the Philippines, or COCOPEA Spokesperson, Attorney Joseph Noel Estrada. Attorney, good morning to you. Let me already lay down the premise of our interview. Una siguro gusto ko malaman, alam ko po na ang COCOPEA, together with 27 other institutions, filed a TRO before the Court of Tax Appeals because of this tax hike, no, that the BIR is imposing on private institutions. Ang gusto ko po unang tanungin ito. This is, of course, under the CREATE law. Nung naipasa ho ba yung CREATE law, ano ho ba ang perception ng mga eskwelahan, ng mga private schools? Tataas ho ba o bababa ang tax sa kanila, which is currently at 10%?
Good morning, Pinky, and thanks for having me. Now, you know, when the CREATE law was passed in just this March 26 of 2021 this year, you know, it lowers all corporate income taxes, and it lowers the preferential tax rate of proprietary educational institutions from 10% to 1%. And if you want to know the sentiment, everyone's looking forward to a tax relief. You know, even before this law this bill was approved by the Senate and the House, it took 25 years for the government, since the first bill was filed on rationalizing tax incentives was acted upon. But when this CREATE bill was filed over a year ago, our legislators were unanimous in passing this. So you can see the build-up. It is really intended to provide recovery and incentives to an ailing economy brought about by the pandemic. And of course, that includes us. We were expecting government economic intervention through this tax policy.
Attorney, sa madaling salita po, dahil sa CREATE law, inasahan niyo po ng COCOPEA at ng iba pang private institutions na yung tax being imposed on you at 10% was going to be lowered to 1%. Tama ho ba?
Yes, pero that proposal did not come from us. Yeah, but we actually thought na status quo 10%, that's okay na yun sa amin. But we learned that some of our legislators proposed lowering of the preferential tax rate, a concessionary rate that will last for 3 years, and we welcome that, and we are very happy for that. But just barely 2 weeks after the CREATE law was signed into law, the BIR issued Revenue Regulation 5-2021, removing that preferential tax rate, telling us not the 1%, not the 10%, but you should be taxed just like any other corporations and enterprises, which should be at 25%. In effect, providing an increase of 150% in our taxes.
What the BIR is saying, from what I understand, is that yung pong private institutions, this 1% tax rather, I guess, let me rephrase that. This 1% tax only applies to non-profit organizations. Tama ho ba? Is that the explanation of the BIR?
Yes, that is the position of the BIR, but we do not agree because non-stock, non-profit educational institutions are already exempt, not by the BIR, but by the Constitution itself. And the Constitution says this exemption can actually be extended to proprietary educational institutions, subject only to limitations provided by law. So you can see here, the proprietary education institutions are not exempted, but they're given preferential tax rate. 10%. Centuries ago na po yan, 1968 pa, 10% lang ang tinatax natin for obvious reasons. The educational institutions partner with the government in delivering the education service. So we do not agree with that position of the BIR.
But let's go, I just want to go to the wisdom behind the CREATE law. This is really to, lower corporate income tax to 25%. And wasn't the wisdom really to provide relief to companies and even institutions? Hindi ho ba yan yung adhikain o yun yung purpose nitong batas? So, in essence, kung ang private institutions taxed at 10% at the moment is going to be increased to 25%, that's not a relief one way or another. It's a burden.
Exactly, Pinky. That's what we are talking about. And you can see the reactions of the senators, no? And
Correct.
Senator Angara, unang-una na. Because this is very fresh. No? March 26 lang pinirmahan ng Pangulo. February 3 of this year, they were able to pass it. And if you look at the Journal of the Senate, the Senator Pia, the one who delivered the privilege speech for the bill, sabi niya, at the end, what the government is bound to lose in the form of taxation will be realized by the people in the form of direct benefits. So alam na kaagad natin ng mga mambabatas na this will lower, this will deprive tax collection, a certain amount of tax collection. In exchange, this will be received as a direct benefit. And it was signed by the President on March 26. So ngayon, Pinky, just today, we published our urgent appeal to the President, whole page appeal at one of the newspapers. And we are confident that, with the President just signing this law on last March 26, we are confident that being the chief executive, being the head of all government agencies, bureaus, and offices, it will intervene and hopefully correct that issue once to be allowed.
So you have two approaches here. You're appealing to the President and you file the case before the Court of Tax Appeals. But again, let me go back to what you said earlier. The senators are already supporting the private institutions. There's a number of them. And the last one, of course, Senator Franklin Drilon. But more importantly, let's talk about this. I have a minute left. Si Senator Angara filed a bill to kind of clarify this issue. So basically, from what my understanding, the bill that he filed declares private schools are exempt from the 25% corporate income tax. Isasabay ko na po itong isang tanong at sabi po ni Secretary Sunny Dominguez, yung pagbabayad naman po ng tax return ay next year pa. So kumbaga parang may oras. So hindi ho ba sapat na yung pag-clarify ni Senator Angara, which of course they have to pass into law, that you had to run to the Court of Tax Appeals and even make an appeal to the President?
Okay, first of all, yung pinapasa ko na bill, once na maging batas yan, it will apply prospectively. And you know naman, Pinky, the process and the time it takes for a bill until it becomes a law. So meantime, what happens? If the revenue regulation is not corrected or stopped, and the tax collection will continue. And with the statement of Secretary, with all due respect, the CREATE provides for a retroactive application. No, let's not forget that. July of 2020, yung computation. So lahat ng nag-benefit for lower taxes, that's good. But what about us if we are being increased 150%? That's a problem. And this is another thing, more importantly. The BIR, in the letter to us last June 1 or June 2, it says that the law, according to them, the law never intended to provide us with a preferential tax rate. That is very serious. Ibig sabihin, the BIR can look into the tax payments even, for as long as they can. And charge us with deficiency payment of taxes. So there's really that urgency. So we're approaching this on all levels of the government. So the legislator was so happy with the support of the senators. And we also went to the Court of Tax Appeals because of the urgency, because of the now. And of course, we also went to the President because we believe that being, again, the head of the executive, it can interfere even in the discretions exercised with the officials of bureaus, departments, and agencies under the executive.
All right. COCOPEA Spokesperson Attorney Joseph Noel Estrada, sir, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.